we'll start with the prayers. Om Bhadram Karnebhi Shrunuyama Devaha Bhadram Pashye Makshabhiryajatraha Stirairangaihi Stuštuvagum Sastanobihi Veshema Devahitam Yadayuhu Swasti na Indro Vriddhashavaha Swasti na Pusha Vishwavedaha Swasti nastакshorarishtanemihi Swasti no Brihaspatir Dhadatu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We are studying the Mandukya Upanishad, and this is a unique Upanishad where the entire topic of Atma has been brilliantly put forward in 12 mantras. We all have studied Tattva where the definition of Atma was given, which is beyond the three states of consciousness which we experience every day, beyond the five koshas, which is our personality, and beyond the three bodies which we possess. That was the basic definition of Atma in Tattva. Mandukya Upanishad specializes in one of the areas of the definition, which is primarily the three states of consciousness. The methodology which the Upanishads use are called as prakriyas. So prakriyas can be different, but ultimately the siddhanta is only one. The teaching is one. But the prakriyas, the methodologies, could be either a panchakosha, it could be avastatraya vichara, or it could be drigdrishya viveka, adhyaropa, apavada. These are all different methodologies by which the Upanishads try to reveal our own true nature. We are all used to taking our body and mind as me. The Upanishad clearly tells us that the body is neither me, the mind is neither me, both belong to Ishwara. I am that pure consciousness, which is the substratum, which is the observer principle in this entire universe. The consciousness, awareness principle is my real nature. This aspect of mine is unknown to me today. When I study the Upanishad, I learn to apply the teaching to me, and I realize what the Upanishad is telling me about myself is the truth. This is how this beautiful Upanishad reveals our true nature, and we have studied the first two mantras so far. Today we are going to see mantra number 3. The most important point before we enter the mantra number 3 is to understand the principle, the basic principle of Mandukya Upanishad, which reveals that without an observer, Atma, the consciousness, there is no world. So Atma and Anatma differentiation is clearly brought about in this Upanishad. What the nature of Atma is beautifully described in verse number 7. But the basic principle we should understand is I am the observer, the consciousness principle, and the world I experience is called as Anatma. Once we have understood the basic principle behind the whole of Mandukya Upanishad, then it becomes easy when we dwell on the mantras. So with this, let me go into the third mantra, which is our main topic today. In this third mantra, Jagrita Sthano Bahish Prajnaha Saptanga Ekona Vimshati Mukhaha Sthula Book Vaishwanara Prathama Padaha. In the earlier verse, we saw that the whole experience which we have in the world is divided into 4 padas, 4 quarters. An introduction to the 4 quarters was made in verse number 2. Now, from verse number 3 onwards, we are going to study each pada by pada. As I said in the end of last class, that third verse deals with the waking state. The fourth verse deals with the dream state. The fifth verse deals with the sleep state. And the sixth verse also deals with the sleep state. This is how very beautifully structured is this Upanishad. And ultimately, in the 7th verse, the Upanishad reveals our nature, which is Atma, the observing principle. Without this Atma, there cannot be a world. The world is dependent principle. Atma is independent principle. Some of the basic things of this Upanishad, I want to bring it out right now, so that when you go through these verses, it becomes easy to understand what the Upanishad is trying to reveal to me. Each one of us, whether you are living in any part of the world, we all undergo the 3 states of consciousness: the waking, dream, sleep. This is all what we know. As a general normal human being, we are aware of these 3 states. Before we study the Upanishads or we come to a spiritual study, we take ourselves to be the body. I am the body is a common universal experience. It's a universal knowledge by which one deals with the world. When we study the Upanishads, there is a shift in this knowledge. I learn through the study of the Upanishads, whether it is Taittiriya Upanishad, which deals with the Pancha Koshas, whether it is the Mandukya Upanishad, which deals with the Avastha Trayam, or whether it deals with all other Upanishads which deal with miscellaneous topics, like in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, all the facets of the Atma and Anatma are taken. Chandogya Upanishad, similarly the same thing. Keno Upanishad, different methodologies, prakriyas are used. But ultimately, the teaching is this fundamental principle: I am the observer consciousness. Everything else I drop. I learn to drop in my cognition, in my intellectual capacity. We cannot drop the world or the body externally. It is only in understanding that it is possible for us intellectually to drop either a particular state of consciousness or drop a particular object which is witnessed by the observer. So anything which I observe is called as Anatma. The observing principle is called as Atma. In the observed world, which is called as Anatma, there are three categories. That is where the three states come in: waking, dream, and sleep. So the Anatma is divided into waker I, dreamer I, and sleeper I. This clearly we must be able to distinguish. We must understand I, the Atma, am totally different. I am the pure consciousness principle. I exist without the body, without the three states. If you want to know a sample of how I am pure consciousness, it is the sleep state. In the sleep state, I don't experience the potential world, but I exist. That is the pure state of consciousness, which is called as thorium. That is my real nature. The whole Upanishad is directed to reveal that pure nature of mine, in which there is no world, in which there is no body. That means I put the world as well as my body into Anatma, a separate category. This is the main thing we should understand in this Upanishad. The observer is independent. That consciousness, awareness is an independent principle. And it is Satyam. Whenever we say independent, means it can exist. It can exist. It is without the world, it exists. That is the revelation of this Upanishad. The seventh mantra of this Upanishad is revealing my own true nature, which is neither born, neither it dies. This is the revelation in the Bhagavad Gita also. In the 18th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Moksha Sannyasa Yoga, Lord Krishna teaches Arjuna the 5 factors of action. And he says that I am none of the 5 factors. I'm neither the doer, neither the instrument of action, neither the impeller. I am none of those. I am Atma, ever unaffected, witness of the entire creation. That is The same message coming in to Mandukya Upanishad. We'll see how this particular verse takes us. The first quarter is called as Pada, Prathama Pada. And here Pada means it refers to the gross body. All my experiences which I have with my gross physical body is the first sphere of activity. Whenever I am experiencing the gross body, it is called as the first pada. Pada of what? The first pada of understanding this consciousness principle. The pure consciousness doesn't have any pada at all. It is pure. It is without any parts. Ultimately, we'll realize that. But for a student, the Upanishad goes one level down to our level, and it says, you try to first understand there are three padas: the waking, dream, and sleep. And the fourth pada is the Atma, with reference to the three padas. That is how the teaching is. In the waking state, we are conscious of the external world of objects. Very important. In the waking state, how do you differentiate the four padas? Number one, I am aware of the external world. I am conscious of the external world. That is the first pada. Second pada is the dream. I am conscious of the internal world, which is my own mind, which is projecting thoughts. This is a different category, a different experience of the same consciousness, which is the pure consciousness. And what is the third category? Very simple. It's a sleep state. The sleep state is I am conscious of the potential condition of the world, unmanifest condition of the world. That is the third state, which is called as the state of ignorance. And what is the fourth, which is called as thorium? The fourth state is not connected with the body or with the world. It is an independent principle. It is an awareness principle, which does not affect, which the world does not affect the thorium, the consciousness, awareness. Anything can happen in the world or to the body, but the consciousness principle is not affected. This is where I learn to demarcate myself with the body, and I say that I am not the body. The body is an instrument for me. The mind is an instrument for me, given by the Lord, Ishwara. The waker I is experiencing the waking state. The waking state belongs to the mind. It is the mind which is woken up. It is the mind which reveals the dream. The mind is in dream, the mind is in waking state, and the mind's potential condition, resolved condition, is called as sleep. So we must always remember the observer is an independent. I am the observer consciousness. Right now, my mind is in the waking state. All of us, our minds are in the waking state, and we are the observer. I am observing this body. I'm observing the sense organs which are active. In my presence only, in my presence means that in the presence of pure consciousness, this mind is woken up. When the mind gets woken up, the sense organs become active. When the sense organs are active, I experience the external world. This principle of how pure consciousness works in this entire universe, we must be very clear. This is all technically explained, very beautifully explained in our Shastras. So my vision about myself will change when I shift my vision from the body I to the consciousness I. And this methodology of using the three states is a very effective method. So Atma Vichara and Omkara Vichara are the two topics, broad topics of this Upanishad. In the Atma Vichara, I learn to experience the waking state as a state of the mind. This is called as attributed I. There is a pure I and an attributed I. The pure I is the Atma, which is called as thorium in this Upanishad. I will be using the term thorium for Atma throughout my discussions. So whenever I use thorium, thorium is another name given to Atma in this particular Upanishad. Different names are given to Atma: Sakshi, Satchit Ananda. These are all different names, but they all mean the observing consciousness. So when I talk about attributed I, it has got three levels. One is the waking, dream, and sleep. In the waking state, this I gets the individuality of the age of the body, the size of the body, the mind's functions, whether it is dull, whether it is bright. So the attributed I, that means this attributed I is generally, they say in the Upanishads that it is either a shadow of the original consciousness or it is described as a reflection, abhasa. So pure consciousness cannot say I, it exists. It is the mind with the reflection of that pure consciousness says I am in the waking state, using the mind and the body, the gross body, the subtle body, both. Without these two, I cannot say I am at all, but I exist as what? Pure consciousness. So the attributed I, the first, there are three attributed I's. One is the waker. Now we are discussing the first one. Now this one is sagunam. Sagunam means it has got the gunas. It is finite in nature. The body is, the moment I say I am a waker, I refer to the gross body. And I refer to the gross world experienced by the gross body. And the gross universe is the substratum for the entire waking world. This is how we should analyze my experience. We contact the world through the gross body medium, which is called as Thula Sharira. Now, whenever when the consciousness is reflected in the body, in the mind, it is given a name. That pure consciousness, I told you the name is thorium. These names are given to us so that we can meditate on our pure nature as not Vishwa, which is the waker, not Taijasa, which is the dreamer, not Prajna, which is the sleeper. The names are given, but ultimately they are only names given to the three entities which are born because of reflection of the mind, of the consciousness in the mind. So the waker self is got two names. One is that world, when it is identified, when the consciousness is identified with the world, which is the substratum for the whole waking state, then it is given a name Virat. Virat or Vaishwanara. That is what is the description in this particular first, in the first pada. So in the first quarter, we are talking about the cosmic being, which is the substratum for the entire world. And that cosmic being, Virat or Vaishwanara, is what we see as the gross objects of the universe. The entire world, we will see the description of that cosmic being, which is given in this mantra. What it constitutes, we'll see a little in the next point. So the waking state is the address, a sphere of activity of that cosmic being. When it is active, when it is revealing this entire universe, including my body. You see, when we say Virat, it includes my body and mind also, which is included in the substratum called as Virat. From the conscious, now when we look at it from the consciousness angle, what do we find? It is Bahish Prajna. Bahish Prajna means external consciousness. Consciousness is one, but it has got different facets. The facets are called as padas. When it reveals the external world through the gross body, it is called as Bahish Prajna. External, cosmic experiencer of the physical world. And this waking Purusha, Jagrat Purusha, is the cosmic being. So the waking state belongs to the cosmic being. It is that being which is giving us this experience of the waking state. And in this waking state, what happens is we enjoy pleasure and pain, and then we go back into dream, again into sleep. Again, we come back the next day. So there is a cycle which is happening. What is the nature of this cosmic being? Very beautifully, it is given in the Upanishads also. In Chandogya Upanishad also, this is described. In Dakshinamurti Stotram also, which we saw last time, we have seen the same cosmic being, Saptanga Purusha, seven-limbed cosmic being. When we say, when I look at the universe, the vision of the Veda is very different than what our normal eyes can see. Our normal eye sees only the physical world of objects. It doesn't treat it as a cosmic being. Like I am a human being, there is a cosmic being. And there are 7 limbs to it. I have different limbs, like I have a leg, I have a hand, I have a head. So similarly, the Vedas, they say there is a divine being which is the same as what was described in the Bhagavad Gita 11th chapter. Lord Krishna beautifully is described the cosmic being, his own Vishwarupa Darshanam, if you can recollect. The same Vishwarupa Krishna is here described as one having 7 limbs. The 7 limbs are the sky, the sun, moon, earth, space, heaven, and ocean. I mean, different ways they describe this. They also say the upper region is the head. You know, we are talking about the sky and the space, the heavens. So the upper region is the head, 1 limb. The second, the two limbs are the sun and the moon. So when I look at the sun every day, I should see that it is the eye. It is the eye of that cosmic being, which is seeing this universe. The moon is the other eye. So these are the parts of the cosmic being. The atmosphere which we experience, the breath which we have, that is another limb of the cosmic being, the whole atmosphere. The fire principle which we see, the space, the ocean which we experience, these are all the limbs of the cosmic being. The earth is supposed to be the leg of the cosmic being. So this is just a depiction so that our mind can travel in the direction of what is this entire experience all about. Eko vimshati mukhaha. Eko vimshati means 19. Upadhis by which individual experiences the world. Now, you see, we have seen how the cosmic being is experiencing the entire universe, which is the Virat. The name given is Virat or Vaishwanara. Throughout the Mandukya, you should remember the 6 names. Number 1, Virat. If you look at the individual, in the first pada, we have Virat, the cosmic being, and Vishwa, the individual with the gross body. This is what we are studying, Vishwa, Virat. Then the second pair is Hiranyagarbha and the Taijasa. Then the third pair is Prajna and Ishwara. These are 6 technical names. They are used mainly for meditation. What they are, we are studying in these mantras, so that when we meditate on Vishwa or Virat, we know what it means. And we learn to drop each pada by pada and say, this is not me, this is not me, this is not me. 3 times we have to say, I am not this, I am not the waking state. Waking state consists of Vishwa and Virat. Vishwa stands for the individual being in the waking state with the gross body. Virat stands for the entire objective universe and the consciousness reflected in the entire universe is called as Virat. So here 19 limbs refer to the Vishwa, the individual. And what are these limbs? We all have seen in the Tattva Bodha. Pancha Jnana Indriyas, Pancha Karma Indriyas, Pancha Prana, and 4 Antakaranams. So there are Bahish Karanam, Bahya Karanam, and Antakaranam. So Bahya Karanam means the Jnana Indriyas, Karma Indriyas, and the Pranas. So these are all And the antakaranam is the internal instrument. Eyes, ears, you know these basic fundamentals, jnanendriyas, they are all the organs by which I get the knowledge of the world. The knowledge of the sound, the knowledge of name and form, the knowledge of touch, whether it is hard or soft, whether it is fragrant or foul smelling, these are all the object of the universe. Through the jnana indriyas. Karma indriyas is my response to this knowledge. The moment I get the knowledge, I become a pramata, a knower of the world. Jnata. I know that there is a world of name and form, world of sounds. Then I want to listen to something, I want to go here or there. These are all, I use the organs of action. Always, whenever we go through this, we should remember there is a consciousness behind all this. There is an awareness principle without which nothing can be known. Pancha pranas, the 5 pranas are the prana, apana, udana, samana, vyana, all that you know. Now, 4 antakaranam is the buddhi, manas, ahamkara, and chitta. Memory, ego, intellect, and mind. These are the 4 antakaranam. They are the internal instruments. Now, they are all used by whom? By the Vishwa. And the Vishwa is what? The waker I. It is one of the facets of the mind. I am the mind. I have this gross body given to me by this ishwara, who is the provider for the entire world. The bodies, the panchabhutas, are basically put together for this jiva. And the jiva uses the body of 19 limbs for the experience of the world. But I am not this body. I am the self. I am one with the entire universe. That is the teaching. I am one. This is a very basic point we should understand. The body cannot exist on its own. Body needs the universe, the totality. We can't live without 1 second without the prana, oxygen. Therefore, this body is dependent on the external oxygen which is provided by the Lord. There is a connection of the body's functioning with the external world, which is the cosmic being. The cosmic being is the one which provides for the existence of the body to survive in this world. So never doubt there is an ishwara, because it's all around. The only thing is I don't have the vision, the right vision to see that Lord, which controls this body. Mandukya Upanishad very beautifully connects the Vishwa with the Virat. The 19 limbs cannot function without the Sapta Anga of the Ishwara. One who identifies with the community or the society has a bigger strength. That we have seen generally in practice. If I keep on looking at my own self, I am a very, very small, finite individual being. But suppose I say I am an Indian or an American or a Chinese, you get a bigger strength. I'm a Singaporean, or you identify with a larger entity. So if I identify with the cosmic being, I'm a part of the Lord. This is what we do in bhakti. Oh Lord, I cannot even exist 1 minute without you. How can the ego thinks the body is, the ego always thinks that it has the pride to say, yes, yes, I am very big, so on. But that is a wrong notion in the mind. Here we learn to identify Vishwa with Virat. So generally you become all, everything, like you say, I am part of ishwara, which is everything, or you say I am nothing. That means you are saying I am nothing, but it's all consciousness. Both these methods are used by the Vedas. I refers here to the body which is identifying with the consciousness. That consciousness reflecting in the body is the ego I. That ego I can say I am everything. Then it becomes one with Ishwara. Or it can say I am nothing. And then it dissolves. So what we need to do, this is where we all struggle to know our true nature. We all want to become something, but we don't learn about our own self. We want to become a doctor, but that is required. You see, in our normal vyavahara, we need to be identified with the individuality in us. No doubt about it. But when it comes to coming to know the true self, the truth about myself, the real truth, who am I without this body? Then we need the help of the scriptures. It is the scriptures alone which tells us my individuality is not with the body or the mind. My individuality is the awareness principle. This is a constantly we must remind ourselves. What did you learn from Mandukya Upanishad or the Bhagavad Gita? I learned that I am a spiritual being. I am awareness principle. I am a consciousness principle, which is an independently existing principle, which is an immortal principle. It has no birth, it has no death. I live throughout my life with this basic fundamental knowledge from the scriptures. Then take the life as it comes. Live every single day as it comes. Joy will come, sorrow comes, news reports will come. This will all affect not the Atma, the awareness. It will affect the waker I, that's all. The dream world does not affect the waker, it affects the dreamer. Similarly, I must learn to understand the waking world affects the waker I, not the consciousness, awareness I. This is the higher nature. I am learning my own higher nature through this Upanishad. So that is all about the waking state. And this is the state in which we spend most of our time, most of our life in this universe is with the Prathama Pada. 24 hours of the day, we go to sleep 8 hours of a day. We are dreaming for, they say, the scientists, they say the dream lasts only for 1 minute or 1.5 minutes, 90 seconds. That's all. From the waking point of view, they say the dream lasts only for 1.5 minutes. But in the dream, it appears very big. We'll be analyzing, we'll be doing an analysis of all the three states towards the end of the Mandukya Upanishad in a different way, where we will go into the depth of all the three states. So for the time being, we have learned about the waking state, and this consists, we have learned two terms here in the waking state. One is the waking individual, which is Vishwa. And the second is the waking substratum of the waking world, which is the Virat. Substratum. We must learn that it is a substratum, because without the universal principle of the Virat, this individual cannot survive. The same thing happens in the dream. The same thing happens in the sleep state also. There is a pair. We have to know that the entire waking experience is a pair of Vishwa and Virat, where both Vishwa and Virat are Anatma. What is Atma? Is the thorium, which is a separate entity. Anatma is the Vishwa and Virat. And in the Anatma, the Vishwa, the Virat is the substratum. The total air principle, the total water principle, that is the cosmic being, without which this individual body cannot survive. The breath cannot go on without the totality. Therefore, the totality is called as the substratum. It is the cause for this entire individual Vishwa. At this level, then we will go to the second, and then we'll see then the third, and then we will arrive at the final cause. The second one, Swapnasthano Antaprajnyaha Saptanga Ekonavimshati Mukhaha Pravivikta Bhuk Taijaso Dvitiya Padaha. The second quarter is the dream state. And in the dream state, what are the two pairs? What are the two names given? The individual is given a name, Taijasa. Individual experiencer. And what is he experiencing? The world, the internal world. And the internal world consists of objects. Again, the objects are the 7 limbs and 19 mouths. Same thing which we have studied in the previous, we are again repeating the same. And this is enjoyed by the Taijasa. The name of the dreamer is Taijasa. So the dreamer eye, in the dream state, what does he experience? He is experiencing only the vrittis, the mental thoughts, the vasanas, which he has gathered in the waking state. There is a light of consciousness which is illumining, that is not changing. The same Atma which was illumining the waking state is illumining the dream state. That is why we ask this question, what is the light in which you saw the dream? That light, if you can segregate separately from the dream world, is the light of Atma. Which is the pure consciousness. The pure consciousness is the invariable component, the silence of Om. Whenever you chant Om, the silence is the substratum, ultimate substratum. It's like the observer. It is the observer which is hearing that sound, listening to that sound of Om. Similarly, it is the consciousness principle, which is the illuminating principle behind the dreamer's mind. And the dream state is through the Sukshma Shariram. In Tattvabodha, we have seen we all have got Sukshma Shariram, which consists of 19 parts. The same Eko Vimshati, the same 19. And when we say Sukshmam, we are talking about the Indriyams, the power behind the eyes, the power behind. Now here it is not the gross body. Here it is the subtle power which we are referring, and it is the consciousness which is illuminating the subtle power in this body. And this is also finite, localized, limited. The gross body is finite because it can remain in Singapore or in India or in London. It is not infinite. The body is finite. Similarly, the individual mind which is experiencing the dream is finite, and it is a located individual mind in a particular body. So it is finite in nature. The individual is finite, but the world which is experienced is not finite. It is like the cosmic being. It is illuminate. It is the same principle which is called here as Hiranyagarbha. The total mind principle in the world is called as Hiranyagarbha. Like the prana here and the vayu. You see, vayu is the total air principle in the world. Similarly, the mind in my body, and the total mind in the entire cosmos, there is a connection. That total mind controls the individual mind. When this consciousness is illumining the Sukshma Shariram, the subtle body, it is called as Swapnasthana, Antak Prajnaha. The first one was Bahish Prajna, external consciousness. The second one is called as internal consciousness. The Upanishad is trying to reveal to us the pure consciousness. That will come in the 7th mantra. But here it is trying to tell us the same pure consciousness is appearing when it has got an upadhi. It has got a body, either a gross body or the subtle body. It gets reflected, and then it is called as, it experiences a certain world. We are trying to understand the structure of this world, the structure of the human body, the structure of our experiences. That is what we are analyzing. So, Antaprajna means internal consciousness of a particular mind only. I don't see the other's dream. I see only my dream. So that dreamer I is a specific entity related to this particular gross body. Not being an individual at the individual level, Taijasa, but it is the total mind principle. The entire cosmos at the subtle mind level is called as Hiranyagarbha. Like we said, Virat, the whole cosmos, the substratum for the individual body, gross body, is the Virat. So what we can say is the Virat exists. That pure consciousness expressing through the Virat is this waking state. That pure consciousness expressing through the Hiranyagarbha is the dream state. The same consciousness expressing through the ishwara principle is the sleep state. Saptanga Eko Vimshati Mukhaha. The same principle which we applied for the 7 limbs and 19 mouths, we apply here also. So the enjoyer at the level of mind where no physical objects exist is called as pravivikta bhuk. Pravivikta bhuk. That means he is enjoying the world of vrittis at the mind level. It is not a physical world. Even when we are daydreaming, for example, a brahmachari is thinking about getting married and having kids, and then finally he finds that he is in a soup. All these experiences of the in the daydreaming is also paravivikta bhok. What we are experiencing at the subtle level of objects and thoughts, that is the second level, which is called as the dream state. So the pure consciousness identified with the total cosmos, physical cosmos, is the Virat Purusha Vaishvanaraha, and at the individual body, when it is identified, it is called as the Vishwa. So never forget, it is that pure consciousness only which is ultimately appearing as the Virat and the Vishwa. And when I look at it not from the gross body angle, but I look at it from the mind angle alone, it is called as Taijasa and Hiranyagarbha. There is no distinction between the individual and the total made in Mandukya Upanishad. They are treated as one. Ultimately, it is one consciousness which alone exists. That is the final teaching. It is only appearing as all this entire cosmos, entire world of activities and functions and experiences. All this is ultimately one principle. I learn through this Mandukya Upanishad to own up that pure consciousness as my real nature. This pure awareness principle as my real nature. That if I am able to claim, drop the body, the gross body, drop the subtle body. And what I do is I learn to do this only cognitively. That means I sit in meditation, I say I am not the waker, I am not the waking world. I sit in meditation, I bring back my dream experience. Oh, I dreamt something in the morning yesterday night, but that dream is not me. So the pada by pada, level by level, I learn to drop the identification and own up the pure awareness. We will stop here for the Mandukya Upanishad. We'll do a short meditation as usual. And then we will continue next week with the third pada. This is a very important pada, very important section of the Mandukya Upanishad. If you can understand the sleep state correctly, you have understood the whole Upanishad. Very, very, very beautiful section. The fifth mantra and the sixth mantra. They tell us what really is the sleep state. We have never analyzed our sleep state. Here, the Mandukya Upanishad clinically analyzes what happens in sleep state. We'll see this fifth verse next week. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudacchade Purnasya Purnamathaya Purnameva Sishyade. Om Shanti. 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 I will open up the chat box to see if there are any questions, or if you want to ask any questions, you can feel free to ask. Yeah, are there any questions? You are being unmuted now, so you can ask any question you have.
Chekaji,
Wow, yes, tell me.
Earlier you were saying that the objects of the world have 7 limbs and 19 mouths.
Correct.
So what is the 19 mouth?
Yeah, these 19 mouths actually refer to the individual. That means when I look at myself, I have got 5 organs of knowledge, like the eyes, the ears, the nose, the skin. Now, these are all the organs of knowledge of the world. So when I have in this body, I have 19 mouth. Mouth means what? Mouth means it is through which I take the experiences of the world into myself. That is why it's called as mouth. Through the mouth of the eyes, I take all the names and forms. Through the mouth of the ears, I take all the sounds. So they are all 19 mouths because through these external instruments, I take the experiences into myself, into my own. For example, I see my son, I see my grandson. All this is happening because of the external eyes. Suppose there were no eyes, you would be consciousness, but you will not see the world. That is what it means. I am that pure consciousness. I am always there. Whether I experience the gross body and the gross world through these 19 mouths, or I experience the dream world, whether they experiences or not, when they are not there also, in my sleep condition, all these external 19 mouths and the 7 limbs are all closed. But I am there. I am that pure consciousness which is experiencing the sleep condition of the mind. That is what is the teaching. So this is where we have to learn. This is Mandukya Upanishad. Very, very deep in its thinking. And I must learn to drop the consciousness of the waking, drop the consciousness of the dream, drop the world which I don't experience. That means the potential condition of the world which is there, that potential condition also I learn to drop. And then I ask this question, who am I? You will say that there is nothing. In my sleep, what do I experience? There is nothing. But here is where Mandukya Upanishad wants you to wake up. It wakes you up from the bigger sleep which you and I have been having for so many births. Nobody has taught me that I am the body. But here, Mandukya Upanishad, but we take the body as me and then we live the whole life. But here the Mandukya Upanishad is trying to teach me, I am not the body. Learn to drop this body as an instrument I use only for transaction. This is just a body used only for transaction in the waking. It's used as a body only for transaction. For example, what happens to your dream world? Yesterday you had the dream, you don't think about the dream world today. So similarly, what Mandukya Upanishad is teaching us is, whatever experiences you had yesterday in the physical waking world, also learn to forget. Let it be forgotten, because that is the nature of the world. This is the world which I experienced. Yes, it was good, it was bad, it was mixed up. I learned to live in the present. Right now, what do I do? I am aware. I am that consciousness. Just make yourself again, remember that feeling that I am that pure consciousness. I am not the consciousness of the world. It is a temporary state which I experience, but the real permanent state, my state as a pure being. In that pure being, it is neither an individual, it is neither the cosmic being. It is a being, that's all. The thorium, that pure Atma, is just pure Atma, that's all. It's just a pure consciousness. Consciousness means it is awareness. It is aware all the time, aware of what? Of itself. Self-awareness is the ultimate it is the ultimate reality, and this is impersonal. There is no personality attached to it. Impersonal. It is just it is not. You cannot call it is either a being or a non-being. It is just there. That's all. I am that pure consciousness is the ultimate thing. We all have to learn this. When we learn this, what happens is my identification as the body one day will drop off. I'm telling you, it's just practice. Learn to practice this again and again. Your own mind will drop it and say, I am that pure being. I am that immortal being. When that happens to you, your spiritual study is over. You will yourself one day come and tell me, or you'll realize yourself that what the Mandukya Upanishad is telling is the truth. But because of some obstacle in my mind, I'm not able to realize that. I learn again and again this Upanishad. Whether you have studied this Upanishad 10 times before doesn't matter. Come, listen one more time. Maybe something will get suddenly opened up and say, oh my God, this waking is also like a dream only. We will analyze this towards the end of the class, end of the Mandukya Upanishad. I'm going to present to you the view of a text called as Vichara Sagara, where it says that the waking can be treated exactly like a dream. The dream lasts for 90 seconds. The waking also lasts. Maybe you think it is 100 years, 120 years, but then it is the waking time. The dream, when you look at it as a dreamer, it is not 90 seconds. It is a long dream. Similarly, this waking is also like that if I look at it as a waker, but the moment I drop the identification, I look at it as Atma, the consciousness. I am the pure being. From that point of view, the waking is a very, very incidental. It's just a passing phenomena. We will do this analysis towards the end. This analysis is called as Drishti Srishti Vada. That means if I don't see the world doesn't exist. I am the observer, I am the consciousness. If this knowledge comes to me, then I have learned the Mandukya Upanishad, and my teaching, my learning of the entire spirituality is over. Very, very beautiful Upanishad, but we must know how to analyze this properly.
Okay.
Is it possible? Okay, there is a few questions here I can see. Is it possible to transition from waking to dream state without going to sleep state? Oh, good question. I used to have the same question before. I used to wonder whether I'm always waking from my sleep state or from my dream state. I don't know your experiences in life, but we have both the experiences. Okay, your question is more related to whether I can go to a dream state without going to deep sleep, without going to sleep state. From what I know of the knowledge which I have gained, it is not possible. All of us, we go to sleep. In the sleep state, I then experience the dream. The Shakti of the dream is the sleep state. It is called as Nidra Shakti. So only when I use my Nidra Shakti, that means from the waking state, I drop the waking state. It is a Shakti. It is a Shakti in this body. It is the power in this body. That power helps me to drop the waking state. Then it goes to the sleep state, and then it projects. It is through the projection of the Nidra Shakti, I project the dream. There is a Shakti, there is a power. Each one of us has this power. We don't know this. It is not seen by the eyes. Like the knowing power, it is the desiring power, the Kriya Shakti, Ichha Shakti, all these Shaktis, all these powers are all hidden. All of us have it. Each one of us, we are all human beings. We all have this Shakti in us. And so your question to answer is no, it is not possible. You first go to sleep and then from there only you go to dream. That's it. This is as per the Shastra. Amyanshu is saying in slide 29, Eko Vimshati, maybe Eko no Vimshati. Sorry, slide 39 not got it. Yeah, you can correct it, no problem. It's actually Eko no Vimshati. Is it the energy Shakti that leads to Samadhi state? So an energy that be trained. Okay. What is Samadhi state? Samadhi means the dhi. Dhi means buddhi. Buddhi is at samam. It is at equilibrium. It can be trained by yoga. Patanjali's Yoga Sutras gives us a beautiful methodology of reaching the Samadhi state, of making my mind quiet. But that is one of the prakriyas, that is one of the methodologies. It's very, very effective methodology. Yoga is a very, very accepted principle in Vedanta for quietening the mind. Up to that stage, Vedanta accepts yoga. It accepts that you are able to control your mind, and it is, when you say energy, yes, it is, the mind is nothing else but energy. I use the principle of consciousness as a witness of the mind. I learn to control the mind's energy. That is why in meditation, I am able to direct you first to your breath. Then I tell you, look at your Om and look at the chanting and look at the silence. That means from breath, I'm shifting the awareness to the mind. From the mind, I'm telling you, come to your pure being. That means my awareness has the capacity to shift from the breath to the chanting, to the silence and to remain as the pure being. It is possible to train the mind through the meditation techniques and learn to remain yourself as the Sakshi, as the pure consciousness. So, when it comes to the last final stage, there is no more energy of the material world, it is dropped completely. There is no more Anatma of the five elements. The real Shakti is the Atma Shakti. The peace which you get by remaining as your own self is the ultimate peace. Try to learn and remain in that peace, and then you will remember that peace which I am now experiencing while in meditation is the same peace which I have experienced in my sleep state. Every day we experience the same witness consciousness in sleep. I learn it is my nature. That is my real nature. That is my pure being. So, very good question, Naren. Go deeper and deeper. You have got an extremely deep mind. I think you go further and further into your own analysis, you will reach the ultimate pure being.
Good evening, Shekharji.
Yes.
This is Sandeep, Shekharji.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Shekharji, so this Upanishad, comes up with the saying, "I am Atma Brahman," right?
Yes,
So
it is.
yeah. So is it like more like equating Atma is equal to Brahman, with respect to that microcosm is equal to macrocosm?
Yeah, it is. It is. Microcosm is nothing else but a part of the macrocosm, and the macrocosm is ultimately nothing but pure consciousness.
Correct. And we are talking about this Ishwara, Taijasa, and Prajna. And I think, like what is my question is like, all this Vishwa, Taijasa, and Prajna, right?
Yes.
So these are all like attributed I, right? It's not
Yes.
like
Yes, they're all attributed I. You're correct. That means the pure I is not the waker I. The pure I
exactly.
is not the dreamer I. It is
Correct.
not the sleeper I, but we experience all this attributed I in the presence of the pure I. We should never forget that we cannot experience the world without the pure consciousness.
Correct. Yes.
So
Yeah, so that's what like Shekharji. So whenever we say like whenever we say I'm working or do anything like waking state, we are more concentrating on the gross body.
yes.
So that's how the attributes comes actually saying that I am walking, I'm doing some other activity, right? So
Yes.
that's how all these attributes come to the picture. But with Taijasa, which is dream state, again we still feel like dream state is almost equal to waking state, right? So obviously there would be some kind of attributes over there.
Yes.
But in Prajna, I think it's the avidya, right? The ignorance which is having an attribute.
Yes. Yes.
So and once everything is gone, in Turiya there is only the pure I.
Yes. In Turiya, there is only pure I. Pure consciousness alone is there. There is no more sleep state at all. This can be experienced in the meditation. You take your mind away from the waking to the dream, from the dream to the sleep, and then you remain as a sakshi of that sleep. This is the final point. You should never miss this point. I am the sakshi of my sleep state is the final state of reaching that pure consciousness. Till then, you have not arrived at consciousness.
Correct.
You have only been you've been only been working with the reflections of that pure consciousness. That pure consciousness is only knowledge. I am that pure consciousness. That's all. You just tell yourself, I am, I am, I am, and just do nothing after that. Don't put anything after that I am. In meditation, just tell yourself, I am. That's all. But let the mind go through this process of meditation. Let the waking state come in your mind. Let the dream state come in your mind. Let the sleep state come in your mind. And then you say, I am that pure Sakshi of the sleep state. Then you say, I am the Sakshi of the dream state. I am the Sakshi of the waking state.
So yeah, so Shekharji, one more observation is like whenever we are seeing Vishwa, Taijasa and Prajna, right? So these are like a more like, we were in Maya, right? Because like, whenever we feel like, I mean, in all the three states, there is definitely an ignorance, right?
Yes, there is ignorance attached to it. I'm trying to remove that ignorance by telling myself, I am the Sakshi, I am the consciousness. By saying I am the consciousness, you're removing, you're dropping, you're learning to drop the ignorance.
Correct. So the first three, the first three things, the Vaishvanara, Taijasa or Prajna, these are more like the work of Maya, right?
Yes, they're all work of Maya. All the three together is called as Maya. You see, Maya is just a name given to the power which we have in us. That power in us is inert by nature. It has got sattva, rajas, tamas, which we learn in Bhagavad Gita.
Yes.
The 14th chapter, the Lord clearly tells us what is this three gunas. And the five elements have come from the three gunas only. The cause of the five elements is the three gunas. So the elements also have the three gunas. That is why the body, has the three gunas. This is how my mind should think. That the root cause is Prakriti. Prakriti means Maya. Maya means the three Shaktis. The three Shaktis together is called as Maya. The elements are born out of this Maya. Because Maya is the inert by nature. It is that ignorance principle. You see, you want to know that sleep prajna, right? It is the same as what we call it as Maya. It is the cause of the five elements. It is the cause of the entire experiences which we have. In the next verse, the fifth and the sixth verse, you will get a lot of clarity when we go through that verse about the sleep state. What is the sleep state? Once you learn that, you will understand your ignorance very clearly.
Yeah, so that's what like one more thing is like this we I mean all these three states are nothing but unreal, right? So we feel that this unreal is real because of anyonya adhyasa, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's because like generally what happens is innate things takes the qualities of the the conscious things, right?
Yes. See,
And
what you're trying to explain is the methodology of how this happens.
correct, yeah.
Anyonya Dhyasa is Taittiriya Upanishad. It tells you that that knowing principle, that awareness principle, that existence and consciousness, it does not belong to Maya. That belongs to Atma. So the adhyasa which you're talking, the superimposition which you're talking is only with reference to the existence of Maya and the consciousness aspect of Maya. The moment your mind is able to differentiate the ignorance from the existence and consciousness, you have reached the truth. That is where the analysis of the sleep state is very, very critical.
Correct, yeah. So last question, Shekharji. So so Maya is altogether a different reality, right?
So it's a part of Brahman.
It's a part of Brahman. Yes.
It's a wailing power of Brahman.
It's like you have the Shakti, right? I told you have the Nidra Shakti. I cannot describe to you that Shakti. You know, it is the words cannot express. Only thing is, you will know it is there, therefore I sleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Similarly, Brahman has got that Shakti which is called as Maya, and that Shakti is what is coming out as the world.
Yeah, so it's
Every
like,
day we
it's more like,
experience, my body is also part of that Maya only, is part of that ignorance only. So in the sleep state, I learn to equate the ignorance of the individual and the ignorance in the entire universe as one ignorance.
so that's what, like, the
You have
Brahman
to
would be,
wait for the next verse. You have questions in your mind, but it is all related to ignorance. But please wait, ask this question when we reach the thorium.
sure, yeah. So the Brahman would be absolute reality and the Maya would be the empirical reality, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, Shikharji. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. The term Vaishwanara used here in Jagrad Avastha, is there any reference to Gita Vakyam? Aham Vaishwanaro Bhutva Praninam Dehamashitaha Pranapana Samayuktaha Pachanam Chaturvidam. Yes, it is the same. You see, there in the Bhagavad Gita also, the Lord Krishna is trying to teach us that there is a connection between this individual body and Vaishwanara. The digestive principle, the fire principle, the hunger principle in this body, all of us have got the hunger principle. It is the flame of the fire principle. You feel hungry. That is the fire, the flames of fire in the stomach. So this is the fire principle. It is related to the fire principle in Vaishwanara. It is the same. It is in the entire cosmos, there is a fire principle. Out of the 7 limbs of the Vaishwanara, we saw fire is one of the principles. So Bhagavad Gita and this Upanishad, they are talking of the same. It is the same which we are saying. Learn to see that my individual body is related to the cosmic being. I am not an independent body. This body is existing because of the cosmic Vaishwanara. That being, which is the total air principle, this will make it more easier for you to understand. See, the prana which is there in this body, you and I are all breathing every single minute of the day. This prana is the life principle in this body. Now, this life principle is not independent. It is related to the life principle in the whole universe. Therefore, the Vedas are very clear. Learn to understand and drop your individuality. That ego which is there, I, which keeps on popping up every day and feeling the pride, you know, I am this, I am that. Learn to drop that ego. When you drop the ego, then what happens is automatically all this knowledge will shine in your mind and say, oh my God, I understand the Bhagavad Gita so well. I understand the Mandukya Upanishad so well. I didn't understand because I had some obstacles. I used to think about myself, and then never understood that there is no myself without the cosmic being. The moment I learned to drop my prana and say this prana belongs to Vaishwanara, Ishwara, my Sharanagati is complete. The 66th verse of the Bhagavad Gita, where the Lord says, surrender to me, that surrender is complete when I understand the simple principle that this prana is a universal life principle, which belongs, controlled by Ishwara. As long as Ishwara wants me to be in this world, he will keep this body alive. That is his job. I don't really need to worry. It is his job. I can't do anything about it. I surrender. That is what I can do. I can drop my ego and say, oh Lord, this is your body. And through this Upanishad, the Lord himself is teaching us that there is an awareness principle. I have my own Ishwara is now teaching us my higher principle is Nirguna Tattvam. It is that pure thorium. And that Ishwara who is present in this body as that prana is teaching us this Mandukya Upanishad and telling us, learn to identify with that pure thorium as your true nature. Then you will merge with me. This is the final merger. There is no more ego left in this body. All the time I can abide in this beautiful, through bhakti you can come, through jnanam you can come to the same merger. Come and realize the true nature of this particular being. The individual jiva loses his own existence and merges with that thorium Brahma or that pure consciousness, which we are calling it as consciousness. It's only a name, but the entity behind this is one. Very beautiful question of relating. Very good. Yeah, I think you're thinking very deeply in this. Okay, any other question before we close? It's 8:20 now.
Shikhaji, I wanted to know, in the waking state and in the dream state, the same kind of experiences actually go on happening. How do we sometimes, when we are asleep, we feel that, we are actually experiencing to be having the body and all. I mean, how do we distinguish most of the times, that's
Between the dream state and the waking state.
correct. They seem to be very similar when it comes to experiences.
Yes. Okay, the waking state, you should understand, is that there are objects outside.
External world.
There is an objective world outside, and the experiences are coming through the sense organs only in the waking state. In the dream state, the sense organs are shut. It is only the mind which is projecting, and it is the light of consciousness which is illumining the mind. In the waking state also, it is the same consciousness which is illumining your mind, but it gets covered because the sense organs are taking that energy of that light of consciousness to the world outside. They are taking away that light from the mind and it is distributed to the world externally. So that is why we must be very clear. The only way, the simple way to say is the dream state, my sense organs are shut. It's completely shut. There is no objective experience outside my mind. My mind is experiencing all the impressions through the light of consciousness. So this is how I differentiate this dream versus the waking. And the third state is the sleep state. Sleep state is we all experience it. I don't experience anything. Neither do I experience a dream. Neither do I experience my body. Neither do I experience this external world of corona. Nothing happens in sleep. Everything is in resolved condition. Now, this is also being experienced by me every single day. What Mandukya Upanishad is trying to do is trying to reveal and trying to make you realize that don't be attached to the objects of the consciousness. Drop the objects. Learn to learn. It is a learning which we do. To drop the mind as an instrument of experience, drop it. Which is what we do every day in sleep. I drop my mind and I remain without the mind. Similarly, I drop my body. In sleep, I don't have this body. So in sleep, I'm neither male, I'm neither female, I am all by myself. But only thing is, I am full of ignorance in sleep. In sleep state, it is tamas. The Maya Shakti is that the tamas nature of Maya is fully active in sleep state. And we have to cross that tamas and then realize I am that pure thorium. I am the pure consciousness. This is taught by the Mandukya Upanishad, and a very, very beautiful way it reveals the thorium.
Yes, Shikharji. So it can only be known in the waking state.
Yes.
That which we experience in the deep
Yes.
sleep.
Yes. It is only in the waking state you learn. That is why the Omkara meditation becomes very useful. When I do the Omkara meditation, you will see that first I will equate the waking state, the Vishwa I will resolve into Vaishwanara. And then I will say this Vaishwanara is a matra, the A of Om. Then I will take the second step. I will take the Taijasa, I will resolve it in Hiranyagarbha. And I will say this is the U matra. Then this is done specifically, deliberately in meditation. You do it. You learn to do the third stage. Prajna, I resolve into ishwara. And then I say that resolved condition is the ma matra, a u ma. So when I chant Om, if I do this meditation 2-3 times, immediately you will be able to realize the thorium, the same amatra. That means there is no more the 3 states. It's only that bindu which is there, which is the silence. That bindu on the top of Om represents the silence. It represents the thorium. The Omkara meditation is done deliberately, initially, so that the mind gets trained to drop the 3 states and remain as the pure silence as thorium. That is the
Thank you,
essence
Shikha.
of the entire Upanishad, which I exposed to you in about 5 minutes now.
Yeah. So when are we going to have this Omkara meditation, Shikharji?
Towards the end only, because we have to learn the theory part. Once we learn the theory well, once we have done the third, the fifth, and the sixth mantra is over, then I will start the Omkara meditation.
Sure.
Because the moment, see, now we have learned waking dream. Next week we are going to do the sleep state. Once the sleep state is over, then we can start the Omkara meditation.
Yes, Shikharji.
Once you do the Omkara meditation 2-3 rounds you have done, your mind will learn how to do that meditation and how to learn to drop and remain as the pure witness, pure consciousness. And once you have done it, you will never forget in your life, because that is our true nature. And that is the prasada of Mandukya Upanishad to us. The Lord is giving us that prasada and says, this is what you wanted to know. I have taught you this. And now you lead the rest of your life as this pure consciousness. Let the life bring whatever joy or pain in life. Don't worry, because it is a passing phase. It will come, it will go. Even if the body goes, doesn't matter. You remain in your nature as ever, this pure consciousness. The fear which you had, the insecurity which you had, will completely drop off. Abhayam. That is what you get out of Mandukya Upanishad. That bhayam goes away, and what you say is abhayam pratishtham. That is the nature of Atma reveals to you.
Yes, Shikharji. Thank you,
Thank you.
Shikharji. Thank you.
And good night. It's been a very long question answer session today. Thank you and good night.
Thank you,
Good night.
Shikharji. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you, Shikharji. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shikharji. Good night.
Thank you, Rohit.
Thank you, Ji.